Medusa CIA's bioweapons unit, which consists of 7 agents, some born with special abilities and trained with unlimited resources, and some of them were created in a laboratory genetically engineered with superhuman strength. Did I get that right?
Yes, that's correct. There's no one else that would be capable of saving the Phantoms from these creatures. After barely escaping the tunnels, the surviving members of the Phantom unit regrouped, battered and on edge, in the dense, dark forest, the heart of Kentucky's Appalachian wilderness. Their sophisticated tech couldn't penetrate the thick canopy above, and the howling that once echoed in the cavern now surrounded them. They realized they weren't just being hunted by beasts. They were in the middle of a strategic trap, orchestrated by something far more intelligent than a mindless predator. The Phantoms were elite, the best of the best, but this was something they hadn't prepared for. What they were up against wasn't just physical, it was psychological warfare. They could feel it in their bones, the oppressive weight of fear gnawing at their minds. Their comms were filled with static, making it impossible to call for backup. Hours passed as they fought their way through the forest, but every move they made only seemed to lead them deeper into the beast's lair. One by one, they began to fall. Exhaustion and desperation set in. It was no longer a mission, it was survival. Just as all hope seemed lost, their comms crackled to life. A deep voice came through, calm and authoritative. "This is Medusa. Hold your position." The Phantom unit knew that name. Medusa. They were a ghost story whispered among even the highest tiers of special forces. A covert paramilitary CIA unit with psychic and biological capabilities. Medusa was called in only for the most extreme threats. The Phantoms had never imagined they'd be the ones in need of Medusa's help. Within minutes, a Medusa agent appeared out of the shadows, seemingly materializing from thin air. A towering, muscular figure with glowing yellow eyes approached the remaining Phantoms. "This is someone they only heard whispers about. Stay close. I'm getting you out of here." "Wait, it's just you?" one of the Phantoms said. The Medusa agent looked back and said, "I'm all you need."
So we found the emerald tablets, right? We have them?
Well, there's two differences. There's the emerald tablet and the emerald tablets. Apparently the first one was in a museum you can go visit right now. But the emerald tablets, that's the one that up to speculation.
So I heard a theory about that, actually. And when you think of a glass tablet, what do you think of? Like a fucking iPad. Like, oh shit, like these enlightened beings just came down with a glass tablet.
Oh shit.
Oh shit.
That just hit me right now.
Fuck.
Holy shit.
It just pieced together this story in my head about how apparently President Eisenhower had a secret meeting with aliens. They would give us technology to control mankind. And in exchange for that, we would have to give them like humans and people to like test on. People who believe that smart tablets in general was technology that was given to us. And if you think about what they said, according to the story, that they're going to give us technology to control people's minds.
So the pyramids are crazy, right? We all know this. But did you know, like, the actual facts about them? Like, you know that the pyramids line up perfectly with the Orion's belt, right? The Orion's belt is just a star constellation containing 3 supergiant stars, much bigger and brighter than the sun. You just cannot tell me that is a coincidence. It's too perfect. Another one is that the altitude of, like, the pyramids is the same number as the speed of light. If that isn't something exceptional to you, then I don't know what is. Some ancient drawings even have depictions of light bulbs. So obviously there's several theories on how they were actually built. Some say it was giants. And then the argument against that is, wouldn't we have found their bones by now? Some say it was some form of extraterrestrials. And then another theory is simply that they were far more advanced back then. But like, think deeply. How do you actually think that they built such grotesque infrastructure? It's such an interesting topic. Do you think that with all the knowledge and machinery and tools and all that, that we could replicate something similar?
Ever heard of the phantom time hypothesis? It's a theory that suggests we've been living a lie. The hypothesis is a historical conspiracy theory proposed by German historian Heribert Illig in 1991. According to Illig, we are not living in the 21st century, but rather in the 18th century. Sounds crazy, right? The theory suggests that the early Middle Ages, 614 through 911 AD, never happened and were fabricated by the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III, Pope Sylvester II, and possibly the Byzantine Emperor Constantine VII. They allegedly altered the existing calendar to place themselves at the special year of 1000 AD, creating a phantom time of 297 years that never existed. Illig's hypothesis is based on the scarcity of archaeological evidence that can be reliably dated from the years 614 through 911, the perceived inadequacies of radiometric and dendrochronological methods of dating this period, and the over-reliance of medieval historians on written sources. The phantom time hypothesis is widely dismissed by mainstream historians and scholars. It contradicts verifiable historical and archaeological data from around the world, and the Gregorian calendar we use today, introduced by Pope Gregory XIII in 1582, is widely accepted as accurate. So, what do you think? Are we living in a fabricated timeline?
History that we have been force-fed since day one and rip it right in half. So here we go. The photo description states that in the summer of 1903, construction continues inside the entrance to the Palace of Machinery for the Louisiana Purchase Exposition, the 1904 World's Fair. The date of this photo is in 1903. The fair in St. Louis was in 1904. So this would all make perfect sense, except there's a massive flaw. A flaw so big that it's undeniable proof that this building was constructed 100 years before the 1903 date that we are told, and proof that there was a mud flood that ripped through this building at some point after 1803. Where is the foundation of this building? Incredibly detailed construction projects do not take place on top of dirt and garbage. This, in my opinion, is the most incredible photo that I have ever seen to this point. A lie right in our faces, saying that this was being built in 1903, when we have multiple dates of 1803, time-stamped right on the building. Multiple times. Not only that, but you can see that the mud flood damaged the bottom of this building here. The mud came after the construction, not before. And I want to make that point very clear. This is a cleanup project, 100%. After this World's Fair, they knocked these buildings down, not because they were pathetic, but because they held dates that do not fit in our mainstream timeline and architecture that we cannot reproduce today. It's incredible. I've been talking to many people, engineers, construction workers, architects, and more about this photo. They are telling me that this is undeniable proof, and at this point, there isn't an excuse in the book that could save the mainstream history. It's time for everyone to wake up to the nonsense that we have all been force-fed to believe. Oh, and we're just getting started today. Welcome to episode 49 of my lunch break. I hope you're all having a great day, and if you're new,
So most often when we're talking about the origins of ancient civilizations, we tend to think of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. But there was another civilization rising at exactly the same time and potentially even earlier. Believe it or not, even further to the east of Mesopotamia, we find an arguably more mysterious civilization in the Indus Valley. There's a lot of speculation about how far back in time the ancient Indus civilization goes, as it was not even historically recognized until roughly 1900 AD. Furthermore, ancient Indian history still goes globally unrecognized on a large scale. In fact, ancient Indus people may have actually been the first civilization to use and bring humanity into the Bronze Age before 3000 BC. As a plethora of far more ancient bronze and even gold artifacts are constantly being found in and around the great Indus cities of Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa. Both of these ancient lost cities were only rediscovered just over 100 years ago, meaning much of the true history of ancient India likely still lies beneath the sands of the Indus Valley. I'm Luke Caverns. If you'd like to learn more about the ancient Indus Valley, ancient India, and other lost civilizations, well, please like and follow for more.
The Rishat structure, also known as the Eye of the Sahara, is a prominent geological formation located in Mauritania. Spanning about 40 kilometers in diameter, this circular feature is visible from space and resembles a giant eye, formed by a combination of geological processes, including erosion and uplift. The Rishat structure is made up of concentric rings of rock. Its vibrant colors and unique shape have captivated scientists and travelers alike. Despite its striking appearance, the exact origin of the Eye of the Sahara remains a topic of research and debate.
You know, things get really weird when you start thinking about mud floods, liquefying of the terrain. What was happening between like the 1860s and the 1920s? You got all these fires, you got all these floods, all these hurricanes, all these storms, and you got the Dust Bowl. What was the experiment? I mean, there were power lines all over the place. And it goes to show you that nobody was thinking that they're putting power lines all over the place. These advanced buildings that are just absolutely stunning and then you got power lines all over the place. Doesn't make any sense. You wouldn't build a building that is harnessing water energy and all about the water and the beauty of the earth and then put power lines all over the place over here. Well, let's say an electrical storm occurred on the earth, some massive electrical storm. That could actually cause everything to turn into liquid too. If you add enough heat, you can turn things into liquid. I could get the reflection off of this from the sun onto the earth. I could then cause things to turn to liquid. And it's interesting too, because they don't allow you to experiment with high static fields in 2024 if you're around power lines, because the power lines will completely disintegrate. So then you start to sit there and think, okay, well, maybe high static fields turned everything to mush. And then we're on layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of mush.
Earth is not what we've been told, and our past is not what we've been told. And we are more than we've been led to believe. And I think all that's being revealed right now. And I think some of the most revealing evidence is not even on Earth, it's on the moon. And the moon itself. There's a growing body of evidence that suggests that the moon is an artificial body, that it was engineered. I just did a video on this recently, an interview. And I mean, it's fascinating. One of the things, it's so deep, I'm not even sure where to begin here. One of the first things that scientists noticed is, and we all know, the moon is covered in meteorites. Big ones, small ones, overlapping ones, but they will not go below a certain depth. They're hitting something that doesn't allow them to go below a certain depth.
The Earth might be bigger than we thought. For years, people have debated over the shape of the Earth, if it is round or flat. Now, this might just all be a conspiracy, but what if the Earth had more than just 7 continents? And Antarctica was just a giant ice wall that kept us from seeing the rest of the continents? What if once you made it past the ice wall, you'll find the 20 continents that are really being hidden from us? And what if there was a map that showed this? There are theories that these continents contain prehistoric animals, aliens, and advanced civilizations, and that the 7 continents that we are living in is actually a giant farm or business owned by a small handful of families that make up the filthy rich in the real world, or in the other continents that we don't know about. That is why
I'm down to get the friction on, so ladies, ladies, if you wanna roll my Mercedes, then turn around, stick it out, even white boys got to shout, baby got back.